Hey, Djonai, how you feeling right now, girl? I'm trying to contact you about that extended warranty. You know, two weeks ago, you posted on Twitter August 23rd, which is would you look at that? Oh, that was today. Djonai, when you said August 23rd, what did you mean by this exactly? I think the fans want answers. We were expecting, some vengeance that you created. We were expecting a huge game. We were expecting something.
Game we had today. Djonai Carrington completely humbled by Caitlin Clark. And then she gonna try to shoulder shrug Caitlin. Caitlin like, girl, get out of here, bro. I just bust you. Pick your face up off the floor. Caitlin Clark hit a logo 3 in her face. Then she was trying to mock. Caitlin Clark got the tech. She got
in 18 minutes. She dropped 7 points, shooting 3 for 11 from the field. Now the real tweet that you should have posted, Djonai Carrington, should have been March 11th, because if I had known that you was gonna shoot 3 for 11 on August 23rd, I would have I would have commented that under your post sooner. You can't.
15 days before the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever met again, DJ Carrington sat down and typed out 2 numbers. August 23rd. That's it. No caption, no explanation, nothing else attached to it. Just
bag Djonai clout chaser Carrington. Careful what you wish for, Djonai. Be careful what you wish for. You're the one that circled 8/23 on the calendar. You're the one who tweeted out 8/23 as if it was some date we all should pay attention to. And people paid attention and saw you. Ooh, you had a bad game. Oh, but 8/23. Fair. Caitlin Clark makes 8 3-pointers. The Indiana Fever win by 23 points. Great foresight on your end, Djonai Carrington.
The date, posted right after she'd been ejected from a game against Indiana for a flagrant foul, tagging the Fever on her way out the door. If you know anything about how these things work online, you already know what that post was actually saying underneath the surface. It wasn't a schedule reminder. It was a promise. It was DJ Carrington telling everybody watching that when these 2 teams lined up again on August 23rd, she was.
Clip is going viral of Caitlin Clark getting poked in the eye by Djonai Carrington. It happened in the first quarter when Clark tried passing the ball to her teammate Aaliyah Boston, but Carrington poked Clark in the eye while trying to deflect the pass. No foul was called, but Clark had to take a second to regain her composure. In the third quarter, Djonai was defending Caitlin again when Caitlin hit Djonai in the head, knocking out one of her contacts. No foul was called, but Djonai had to take a second to put her contact back.
Going to be ready. She was going to make a statement, and she was going to get her moment of payback against Caitlin Clark and the Fever. Well, August 23rd came and went. And it's safe to say the moment did not go the way DJ Carrington was hoping it would. The tension between DJ Carrington and the Indiana Fever didn't start out of nowhere on August 8th. This is a rivalry that goes back years at this point, all the way to Clark's very first WNBA playoff game, back in September 2024, when Carrington caught Clark near the right eye while contesting a pass over the top to Aaliyah Boston. Clark went down clutching her face in obvious pain. No foul was even called on the play, and she finished that entire game with a visible black eye that...
Did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am. So yeah.
Did you and Marina kind of laugh about it afterwards? It looked like there was later on in the game they caught you guys laughing about it.
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her. So I can't laugh about something I didn't know happened.
It became one of the biggest storylines of the postseason. Both players called it unintentional afterward, and on the replay, it genuinely does look like a bang-bang basketball play rather than anything deliberate. But that moment still became a whole storyline of its own, replayed constantly, debated constantly online for days afterward, and it planted the first real seeds of tension between these 2 specific players. Since then, almost every single Fever Sky matchup involving Carrington guarding Clark has carried a little extra edge to it. A little extra chirping, a little extra physicality that goes beyond the normal contact you'd expect between two competitors who genuinely respect each other's games. Back on August 8th in Chicago, Carrington came flying in from behind on a fast break and caught Sophie Cunningham across the head and neck while Cunningham was finishing a layup attempt. It was reviewed by the officiating crew, upgraded from a common foul to a flagrant 2, and Djonai Carrington was tossed from the game on the spot, sent straight to the locker room before the second half even started. That part, fair or not depending on who you ask, is just basketball. Hard fouls happen, ejections happen, tempers flare in the heat of a game. And normally, that would be the end of the story until the next time these two teams meet again on the schedule. But Djonai Carrington didn't let it end there. And that's exactly where the situation started spiraling into something much bigger than one ejection.
What's going on here? Goo! That's assault, brother. You can't do that. What the fuck? Is this just the default if you can't think? Or if you just like don't want to take accountability for your actions? Oh my god, this league, bro, this league. Bro, white privilege while you're wearing a bleach blonde dyed wig. I mean, the fuck? What is privileged about that? You stone cold Steve Austin clothesline.
Minutes after getting sent to the locker room, Carrington posted the words, "white privilege," on social media and tagged the Indiana Fever directly. That single phrase turned a routine ejection into a national story almost overnight, with everybody from casual fans to sports radio hosts to television pundits weighing in on what she actually meant by it, and whether the accusation was fair given the context of the foul itself. Carrington later pushed back on some of the backlash, clarifying that she never specifically claimed the flagrant call itself was the direct result of racial bias, and pointing out that she'd studied structural inequality at one of the top universities in the country before she ever used that kind of language publicly. Maybe that clarification is completely accurate. Maybe there's more nuance to it than a lot of people online gave her credit for in the moment. But here's the thing about throwing a phrase like that out into the world, attached to a specific team's name, in the heat of an ejection. It doesn't just disappear quietly into the timeline the next morning. It sits there. It builds anticipation. It turns the very next matchup between these two teams into something that feels a lot bigger than just another regular season basketball game on the calendar. So that's the actual backdrop heading into August 23rd. Djonai Carrington said,
"You hit her in the head and you drew blood. It was a flagrant 2. You should have been ejected. No more, no less." Have we seen Sophie Cunningham aggressively foul an individual before and not get thrown out of the game? Sure. Have we seen Caitlin Clark aggressively foul an individual by hitting them in the head and not get out of the game? Absolutely. But if we are paying attention to what Djonai Carrington did to Sophie Cunningham, it was not a race-based decision. And to call that a white privilege-based foul is to completely undermine the term of white privilege and to also completely ignore the rules in basketball. You hit her in the head, you drew blood, you didn't connect with the ball at all whatsoever.
Used to play on the court as a rookie, but she brings a defensive mentality. That'll be the first personal on Djonai Carrington.
Sitting on a controversial ejection, a viral, heavily scrutinized social media post, and a very public warning shot aimed squarely at Caitlin Clark and the entire Fever organization. Fans on both sides of this rivalry knew exactly what this next game was going to be about long before the ball was even tipped that night. This wasn't just Sky versus Fever anymore, two teams jockeying for playoff positioning in a crowded standings race. This had turned into Djonai Carrington trying to prove a point on a stage she'd chosen for herself. Trying to show the basketball world she wasn't rattled by any of the backlash. Trying to show that when these two teams shared the floor again, she was going to be the one dictating the terms of engagement from the opening tip. That's a tremendous amount of pressure to put on yourself in a public post 2 full weeks in advance of the actual game. And it's exactly the kind of self-imposed pressure that has a way of backfiring the moment the ball is actually tipped and the cameras start rolling for real. Fast forward now to the second quarter of the actual game on August 23rd. Chicago is holding on to a slim 4-point lead at that point, which, credit where it's genuinely due, is more competitive than a lot of people expected out of this particular skyrocket.
Djonai Carrington. Bookmarking this day just to get embarrassed by Caitlin Clark. The big bad wolf coming through, blowing houses down until she tried to blow down the Caitlin Clark brick house that was built by Djonai. This lady was 3 for 11. 3 for 11, 0 for 3 from the three. A terrible performance. My goodness, tried to come out and take the show, right? Tried to create her moment. And guess what, Djonai? Now your name is Djonai Who Carrington. Who cares? Oh my goodness. 8:23, everybody.
Game that Djonai Carrington had circled on her calendar and wanted the world to see happen tonight. And how did it turn out? Caitlin Clark had 37 points, 10 assists, 8 threes, and we got this lovely reaction. But I want to point out something that happened in the game. Some of the Chicago Sky, including Djonai Carrington, to me, were looking for a fight this game. And Caitlin, instead of talking about it in the media, just did it with her basketball skills. And this is one of the plays that happened.
Indiana can regain the lead. Clark, another step back three. Yes. And a little bit of passion afterwards. You love it. This is
So Djonai purposely runs into Clark, and then Clark just waves her off. Just waves her off. You can tell that Clark was just over that storyline and
with Connecticut. At this point, it's practically become her signature response whenever a whistle goes against her while guarding Clark specifically. And that's the moment worth sitting with for a second, because it tells you something the ejection alone couldn't. This wasn't a player caught off guard by a bad call in the heat of the moment. This was a familiar script, played out in a familiar spot on the floor, against a familiar opponent, exactly 15 days after she'd publicly circled this date on the calendar as her chance to settle something. The build-up promised a statement. What actually showed up on the court was the same reaction fans had already watched her have before, in a different city, against the same rival, years apart.
We have Caitlin Clark cooking Djonai Carrington's boots, and then Djonai Carrington goes out of her way to bump into Caitlin Clark as she's running down the floor. Let's take a look.
Clark, another step back three. Yes. And a little bit of passion afterwards. You love it.
Djonai Carrington bumps into Caitlin Clark. Watch this. This is the funniest part. And then Caitlin Clark treats her like Raven Johnson in South Carolina and says, please, look how disrespectful this is. This is a you're not even worth my time type of wave off. This is a not even worth my time type of wave off. Damn, not even worth it. You're not even worth it. Look at this. Whew, waste of my time.
Djonai against this specific version of the Fever. Carrington is guarding Clark tightly on a drive into the paint. Gets called for a foul, blocking the lane. And instead of just accepting the whistle and getting back to set up on defense, the way most players do a dozen times a night without a second thought, she starts arguing directly with referee Charles Watson. She throws her head back dramatically, exaggerates the contact well beyond what actually happened, and essentially performs a small flop of her own, while simultaneously accusing Caitlin Clark of being the one who flopped on the exact same play. If any of that sounds oddly familiar, it's because this isn't new behavior from DJ Carrington, specifically in matchups against Clark. She pulled almost the exact same move, the same accusation, the same dramatic body language, years earlier during a Fever Sun game, back when she was still...
Let's see what America's team, the best team in the league, with the best player on the field today. Let's see. Oh, come here. Yeah, historic night. Okay, best player in the league. Ooh, look at how she dominant. Look, when the team is ran through Caitlin, look at how beautiful it is.
Creating those live ball turnovers to flourish and go full court offense is something.
Oh, Caitlin on the defense. Look at that. Defense. They say she don't play it. Okay. Swing it. Swing it.
One more pass.
Freeze.
And misses that one. Indiana can regain the lead.
I want some more. You come back.
Clark, another step back three. Yes.
not a skin color thing. She has a history of making dirty plays, and it's fine. The NBA, you can be a rough and tumble league. Now, where this thing gets absolutely bananas is when you start making it into a race and culture war, and the people talking about it are not mentioning 99% of the time that she went back and tweeted white privilege. White privilege, how? You made a dirty play. Sophie Cunningham, everyone's putting up clips of her like tackling a player on a drive, defending Caitlin. You say, well, she got kicked out of the game for that too and didn't say anything after.
Flopped the whole game. She is so obnoxious. Oh yeah, she really is obnoxious. Then Clark hits a three right in her face. Funny because Carrington had a pretty soft foul that went her way on the other end. She's been running her mouth and trying to get a reaction out of Clark all game. Clark hasn't given it to her. And that probably eats up Djonai Carrington. The fact that she couldn't get a reaction out of Caitlin Clark, that probably eats her up inside. Here we have, well, the white privilege Caitlin Clark versus instigator Djonai Carrington. I think Caitlin got you tonight. Nay. That's nay. 37 points to 7 points. Ooh, she scored 30 more points than you. Damn. Same amount of rebounds, 10 assists to 1 assist. Yikes. Damn, Djonai.
Caitlin Clark right here. Look at this, man. So she's reaching in for the ball, fouling Caitlin Clark. We can visibly see she's going in. Caitlin has the ball all the way out here. So clearly you didn't get basketball. You got something else. If you got basketball, the ball would have, left Caitlin Clark's hand. It would have got, deflected or something. It would have went out the way. It would have been a loose ball. But no, Caitlin still has full control of her dribble. What she doesn't have control over is you all in her space, hand checking her, smacking her. And the referee sees it, calls the whistle, and you immediately, instead of reacting, this is how I know you're a victim. You get weaponized by the other victims in the black community, right? Because listen, there's multiple communities in the black community. There's the victim side, and then there's the side that stands for what's right. I'm on the side that stands for what's right? And I have a bunch of black supporters on this channel who is also on that same side. We don't care about skin color. We care about good product. We care about right or wrong. We care if you're a good human being.